Hi, I'm Ed Martin, president of the Phyllis Schlafly Eagles, and we have some work to do again to fact check Mrs. America, the FX series that's streaming over at Hulu. And I hope you'll go to realmrsamerica.com, find out more of the real facts, especially there's photographs and essays, testimonials of Phyllis, and more of these fact check videos. And please like and share and subscribe to this video right down here and pass it on to your friends. It's very important. You know, today we're going to talk about a smear that Mrs. America and the producers and the writers are doing against pro-lifers, against the pro-life community. It's a straight-on smear, but they, again, twist the truth, change the facts, and try to distort things. So let's take a look. And first of all, let's introduce ourselves to one of the stars of this recent episode of Mrs. America. Here we go. Meet Lottie Beth Hobbs. You never know it by watching Mrs. America, but Lottie and Phyllis were great close friends. They were friends for years and worked together and socialized together. They were really fine friends. And Lottie was one of the first people to receive a Phyllis Schlafly Eagle Award. The Eagle Award is a coveted award given over the decades to those people who, as Phyllis said, have shown the dedication for God, family, and country. A really special award. And Lottie was one of the very first to receive that. She was a vice president of the organization. Far from what's depicted here, that there was some kind of disconnect, they were great friends. You know, Mrs. America wants to paint Mrs. Hobbs as some sort of backwoods Baptist. I mean, it's just bigotry of Hollywood. She was an accomplished author. She was a very smart strategist and a thinker. And she was a great leader in her community and in the nation. It's just bigotry and lies to try to say something different. Let's watch the clip of how they tried to depict Mrs. Hobbs.
It used to be if Catholics and evangelicals came together, you'd have a bloodbath.
I'm Presbyterian.
No, look, we all serve the same Lord, but if we're willing to come together to fight a common cause, then we can fight with each other later.
You know, biographers, and two of them I can think of, but others writing essays about Phyllis Schlafly, they did pinpoint a key to Phyllis's success because of what she was able to do to bring people together. People of every socioeconomic background, every race, ethnicity, and especially for the first time in a political sense, standing up for these key social issues, Phyllis was able to unite Catholics and Baptists and other Protestants, as well as Mormons and Jews, and they fought this battle for family values. That was a unique characteristic of Phyllis's leadership. You're watching this depiction in Mrs. America, and you think it sounds like she was gobbling up a mailing list. It's just silly, and it's not factual. It wasn't that Phyllis was amassing power for herself. We've said before, she didn't lobby, didn't get paid for it, didn't do this for anything but trying to fight for America and American values. And she also found a way to bring a lot of women together and lift their voices up and make them heard and help them get better. And it is true. One of the main issues at that time, and still down to today, and at the end of her life, Phyllis would have spoken about it often, and that was fighting abortion and fighting for life. It did matter. It was a big issue, and we've seen the fruits of that going forward. Now watch another clip on the abortion issue. You'll see what Mrs. America, what they're trying to do to distort the truth.
We also have a rose motif.
Ah, the rose. It is a symbol of our struggle.
It's a symbol of our struggle, too. We want roses, not rights. It's my favorite slogan because it's so simple and elegant.
We use the rose to honor the martyrdom of the unborn. You know what they do in abortion? Is they take the lovely baby from its natural habitat and they rip it out and they throw it away.
This is just a fraud. This didn't happen in Texas. This happened actually at the pro-family rally in Houston in 1977. And it was actually one of the iconic leaders of the American pro-life movement, another woman who worked closely with Phyllis Schlafly. Her name is Nellie Gray. Nellie Gray was the founder of the March for Life. She was an extraordinary leader, great friend of Phyllis. And again, Phyllis and her found ways to work together to fight for life, to fight for the family. Now let's watch Nellie Gray. We have the footage that Mrs. America doesn't want to use. They want to rewrite things and put these words into Mrs. Hobbs' mouth. Here's Nellie Gray. Watch this.
You know, we have this beautiful symbol of the rose, a symbol of life, also a symbol of martyrdom. A martyrdom that is happening in America, where blood is actually flowing as babies are being killed in our hospitals and clinics. And that is the reason that we speak. Because as the children are being killed, we are creating a mentality in America which fails to recognize the value and dignity of each and every human being. You know what they do in abortion is they simply take the lovely baby from its natural habitat and they rip it out and they throw it away.
Now, whether it's Mrs. Lottie Beth Hobbs or Mrs. Nellie Gray, Phyllis, she wanted to unite the pro-life movement and make sure that people could come together, whatever background, however they came to that argument, and fight for the unborn. You know, Phyllis Schlafly is widely credited with making the Republican Party pro-life. She wrote a book about it, and we've published it at the Phyllis Schlafly Eagles. You can see in our archives all the details behind it, the history of fighting to get the pro-life plank in the platform. And in 1976, as this episode of Mrs. America covers, it was a historic moment. Roe v. Wade had happened in 1973. You saw establishment Republicans claiming we all must be pro-abortion. Phyllis Schlafly and others fought for the pro-life plank in the platform. It still exists in that platform today. The Republican Party is pro-life because of the work Phyllis Schlafly did. You talk about history. All these decades later, the fight for life started there. And yet Mrs. America, they act like, oh, the support for that Phyllis was putting together was somehow falling apart. It was just starting. It was building momentum to beat ERA, to keep the Republican Party conservative. And people like Jill Ruckelshaus, who wanted abortion to be legal, wanted it to be the party's position, she lost. She lost ERA. She lost on her abortion wishes. She lost. You know, and losers try to rewrite history, but winners know the truth. Here's more falsehoods from Mrs. America.
Now, I would advise...
Can I give you some friendly advice? What scares my women more than anything is mothers killing their babies and homosexuals raising our children. That gets them. You have children?
Yes, 6.
Do you want perverts teaching in our schools? Touching our children? Don't you want to see every one of those perverts and abortionists burnt at the stake? You see? It's emotional.
This is wild. You know, to try to imply that Phyllis Schlafly ever supported violence, political violence, it's totally absurd. I will say this, I don't know if Phyllis Schlafly ever hunted or shot for sport, but when she was in her early life, between about the ages of 18 and 21, she was hired during the war, World War II, and she tested ammo. Because Rosie the Riveter and Phyllis the Shooter, they had to do what they could to pitch in, and it was her job. She was working her way through college. But this is just silly. And it's mean. Unlike the feminists who you hear, Benny Friedan and others, speak of violence, Phyllis never wished violence on people, and she never spoke like that. She didn't condone it because she built a coalition on pro-family values. That was what she was doing. That's why it was called the pro-family movement. Violence was abhorrent. Here's a clip, by the way, that we found in our massive archives in St. Louis, which I encourage you, and Kate Blanchett, I invited her recently to come see it, to come and see this archive, to see clips like this. Watch Phyllis emphatically decrying violence. She was at Wellesley College at the time in 2003, and she was asked about the violent liberal Amari Bakara. And she said this. Watch this clip.
Well, I don't see any parallel. He is offending people or saying things that are controversial, I think are perfectly okay. I don't know the guy, and I've never seen him in person or anything, but I understand that he advocates violent actions. And I think that really goes over the edge. Is that not true? Yes. Well, that's what I've heard, that he advocates violent actions. I mean, I like to deal with words.
Mrs. America is about rewriting history. And they're hoping that people that are younger and don't know the history will believe what they're saying and writing and doing to make the good look bad and the bad look good. Think about it. That's exactly what they're doing. They're taking the good guys and good gals, trying to make them look bad, and they're taking the bad and rotten losers and trying to make them look like winners. It's Hollywood smear campaign, and it's especially abhorrent and despicable when it comes to the pro-life movement. I need you to continue to like this and share this and subscribe here to this video, and please send it to your friends and others. Explain to them what you're looking at, what we're trying to do, because we've got to tell the truth and get out there. And please continue to go to realmrsamerica.com. We're really stunned by the number of people who are going there and asking questions and looking into the important issues of the day. And pro-life is still one of those issues, still one of the issues we're all fighting for. So thank you for tuning in, and stay tuned for more. I'll be back with more fact checks. We've got a lot of more work to do. Thank you.